Did you know that one simple food in your kitchen may help calm inflammation, support your blood vessels, protect your brain, and help you age with better health? I'm talking about living longer, yes, but more importantly, living longer with strength, energy, mobility, and a sharp mind. Because getting older is not the same thing as becoming unhealthy. Aging is inevitable. Losing your ability to move well, think clearly, recover from stress, and enjoy your life is not necessarily inevitable. And one of the most powerful places to influence that process is not in a laboratory. It's on your plate. Today I want to talk about one food that has been studied for decades, appears at the center of the Mediterranean diet, and may help target several biological processes associated with aging. That food is extra virgin olive oil. Now before we go any further, I want to be clear about something. Extra virgin olive oil is not a magic potion. It will not erase poor sleep, replace exercise, or cancel out a diet built mostly around ultra-processed foods. But when you use it regularly, in place of less healthy fats, it can become one of the simplest upgrades you make to your everyday eating. And the reason is that extra virgin olive oil does more than provide calories. It contains healthy monounsaturated fat, plant compounds called polyphenols, and naturally occurring substances that may help your body handle inflammation and oxidative stress more effectively. So let's begin with the bigger picture. As we grow older, changes begin happening inside the body long before we feel them. The lining of our blood vessels can become less flexible, the immune system can become more chronically activated, metabolism may become less efficient, muscle recovery can slow down, the gut microbiome can shift, and our cells can become more vulnerable to damage from oxidative stress. Researchers often describe these changes as hallmarks of aging. You can think of them as the hidden wear and tear processes that gradually affect how the body functions. You don't see inflammation building quietly inside the body. You don't feel your arteries becoming less resilient from one day to the next. You may not notice metabolic changes until your blood sugar, blood pressure, cholesterol, or waistline begins moving in the wrong direction. But over many years, these processes can influence the risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, certain cancers, cognitive decline, and loss of independence. Here's the encouraging part. These processes are not completely fixed. They respond to your daily habits. Your sleep matters, your movement matters, your stress levels matter, and the foods you repeatedly choose matter. That brings us back to extra virgin olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil is not the same as every product labeled olive oil. The term extra virgin refers to oil produced from olives using mechanical methods, without the chemical refining used for lower grades of oil. It is generally less processed and retains more of the naturally occurring plant compounds found in the olive. Those compounds are important because the olive is a fruit. The oil is not simply an empty source of fat, it carries some of the biological characteristics of the olive itself. One group of compounds that makes extra virgin olive oil especially interesting is polyphenols. Polyphenols are plant chemicals that help plants defend themselves. When we eat them, they interact with our own biology in ways that researchers continue to study. Some of the best-known olive oil polyphenols include oleuropein-related compounds, hydroxytyrosol, oleocanthal, and oleacin. You do not need to memorize those names. What matters is what these compounds may do. They can act as antioxidants, they may influence inflammatory pathways, they may help protect fats in the body from oxidation, and some appear to support the health of the endothelial cells that line our blood vessels. That last point is especially important. Your blood vessels are not just pipes carrying blood around your body, they are living tissues. The inner lining of every artery and vein is active, it responds to blood flow, hormones, inflammation, blood sugar, and the foods you eat. When that lining works well, your vessels can relax and respond to changes in circulation. When it becomes dysfunctional, the blood vessels may become stiffer and less responsive. This is one reason vascular health is so closely connected to aging. Your brain, heart, kidneys, muscles, and eyes all depend on a healthy blood supply. In other words, what protects your blood vessels may also support the health of the organs that depend on them. And this is where extra virgin olive oil becomes more than a cooking ingredient. In studies of Mediterranean-style eating patterns, olive oil is often used instead of butter, shortening, or other sources of saturated fat. That replacement matters. It is not only about adding olive oil to an already excessive diet. It is about using olive oil in place of fats and foods that may be less helpful for cardiovascular health. Large studies have found that people who consume olive oil regularly often have lower rates of cardiovascular disease and lower risk of death from any cause compared with people who consume little or none. Some research has also connected olive oil consumption with a lower risk of dementia-related death. But let's be precise. Most of these studies are observational. That means they identify associations. They do not prove that olive oil alone caused a person to live longer. People who use olive oil regularly may also eat more vegetables, beans, fish, fruit, and whole grains. They may exercise more, they may smoke less, they may have different social and economic circumstances. So we should not turn a population association into a personal guarantee. Still, when several lines of research point in the same direction, and when the food fits inside a well-studied dietary pattern, it gives us a practical reason to pay attention. The strongest message is not drink olive oil and live forever. The stronger message is this: use extra virgin olive oil as part of an overall pattern that makes your meals more plant-centered and replaces less healthy fats. That is where the potential benefit becomes meaningful. Now, let's talk about inflammation. Inflammation is not always bad. When you cut your finger or fight an infection, inflammation is part of the healing response. It helps mobilize the immune system and repair damaged tissue. The problem is chronic, low-grade inflammation that remains switched on for too long. This kind of inflammation can be influenced by excess body fat, smoking, poor sleep, chronic stress, physical inactivity, and a diet dominated by ultra-processed foods. Over time, persistent inflammation can damage tissues and interfere with normal metabolism. Extra virgin olive oil may help because some of its polyphenols can influence inflammatory signaling. Oleocanthal, for example, has attracted attention because it appears to affect pathways involved in inflammation. Its effect is not identical to taking an anti-inflammatory medication, and olive oil should never be used as a substitute for prescribed treatment, but the scientific idea is still interesting. A food that you use consistently may gently shift the balance of inflammatory signals in a healthier direction. That is how nutrition often works, not like a light switch, more like a thermostat. One meal may not transform your health, but a better choice repeated hundreds or thousands of times can gradually change the internal environment of the body. Now, what about aging and oxidative stress? Every day, your cells produce energy. As a natural consequence, they also produce reactive molecules that can damage proteins, fats, and DNA when they become excessive. Your body has defense systems to manage this damage, but those systems can become less efficient with age. Polyphenol-rich foods may help support the body's antioxidant defenses. Again, extra virgin olive oil is only one piece of that puzzle. Colorful vegetables, berries, herbs, beans, tea, nuts, and whole grains provide many other protective compounds. But extra virgin olive oil has one major advantage. It is easy to use. You do not need a special recipe. You do not need to take a supplement. You do not need to completely redesign your life. You can drizzle it over beans. You can use it to dress a salad. You can toss it with roasted vegetables. You can use it when cooking fish, eggs, or chicken. You can add it to a bowl of lentils, tomatoes, or whole grains. And because it improves flavor, it may make healthy food easier to enjoy. Now, how much should you use? Research on olive oil and Mediterranean-style diets has used different amounts, and there is no single magic dose that applies to every person. The practical starting point for many adults is about 1 to 2 tablespoons per day, used in place of butter or other less healthy fats. Some people may use more, depending on their calorie needs and overall eating pattern. But remember, olive oil is still calorie-dense. A tablespoon contains roughly 120 calories. That does not make it unhealthy. It simply means that healthy does not mean unlimited. If you pour several tablespoons onto every meal while also eating your normal diet, you may unintentionally add more calories than your body needs. The goal is not to drown your food in oil. The goal is to make a smart substitution. Instead of butter on vegetables, use a small drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. Instead of a creamy dressing made mostly from saturated fat, make a vinaigrette with olive oil, vinegar, lemon, herbs, and spices. Instead of frying food in a large amount of oil, use enough to coat the pan and add flavor. Small changes can be powerful because they are repeatable. Now let's talk about how to buy extra virgin olive oil. First, look for the words extra virgin olive oil on the label. Olive oil, light olive oil, and pure olive oil may refer to more refined products with fewer of the natural polyphenols associated with extra virgin olive oil. Second, pay attention to the packaging. Olive oil is sensitive to light, heat, and oxygen. A dark glass bottle or a metal tin can help protect the oil better than clear glass. That beautiful clear bottle sitting under bright supermarket lights may look attractive, but light can gradually degrade the quality of the oil. Once you bring it home, store it in a cool, dark place. A closed pantry is usually a good option. Keep it away from the stove, the oven, and a sunny kitchen window. Heat and light can reduce freshness and damage some of the compounds you are trying to preserve. You also want to check the date. Look for a harvest date when one is provided, not just a best before date. Fresher is generally better because olive oil does not improve with age the way some wines do. And once you open the bottle, try to use it within a reasonable period of time. The larger the bottle, the longer it may sit exposed to oxygen after opening. If you use olive oil slowly, a smaller bottle may help you maintain freshness. Now, can you cook with extra virgin olive oil? For most everyday home cooking, yes. Extra virgin olive oil can be used for sautéing, roasting, baking, and many other cooking methods. Its smoke point varies depending on the oil and how it is handled, but typical cooking temperatures are generally compatible with it. You do not have to reserve it only for salads. And you do not need to drink it by the spoonful. In fact, I would not recommend turning it into a daily shot unless that fits your eating pattern and your healthcare professional agrees. The Mediterranean way is usually more enjoyable. You eat it with food. You combine it with vegetables, beans, whole grains, fish, herbs, and fruit. The food pattern matters because olive oil can improve the quality of the entire meal. Let me show you what that might look like in one ordinary day. At breakfast, you might cook eggs with a small amount of extra virgin olive oil instead of butter. Add tomatoes, greens, or mushrooms. At lunch, make a simple dressing with olive oil, lemon juice, vinegar, garlic, and pepper. Pour it over a salad containing beans, lentils, vegetables, or whole grains. At dinner, use olive oil to roast broccoli, peppers, onions, or carrots. Add fish or beans and season the meal with herbs. That is not a diet of deprivation. That is food with color, flavor, texture, and variety. And that is one reason the Mediterranean dietary pattern has remained so compelling. It is not based on one miracle food, it is based on a combination of foods that work together. Extra virgin olive oil provides the main fat. Vegetables provide fiber, vitamins, minerals, and additional polyphenols. Beans provide plant protein and fermentable fiber. Fish can provide omega-3 fatty acids. Nuts and seeds add minerals, healthy fats, and protein. Whole grains provide slow-digesting carbohydrates. And meals are often eaten socially, slowly, and with pleasure. That is an important point. Health span is not only about reducing disease risk, it is also about preserving the ability to participate in life. Eating well should help you feel nourished, not punished. Now, there are a few common mistakes to avoid. The first is assuming that every olive oil product has exactly the same quality. They do not. The polyphenol content can vary significantly depending on the olive variety, harvest timing, processing, and storage conditions. A peppery or slightly bitter taste is not necessarily a flaw. In a fresh extra virgin olive oil, those sensations may reflect the presence of phenolic compounds. The second mistake is buying an expensive bottle and then storing it beside the stove. That is like buying fresh berries and leaving them in the sun. The quality can decline before you have finished using it. The third mistake is using olive oil to justify an otherwise unhealthy meal. Adding olive oil to refined carbohydrates, processed meats, sugary sauces, and heavily processed snacks does not transform the meal into a Mediterranean diet. Olive oil works best when it helps you eat more whole foods. The fourth mistake is thinking that one food can replace medical care. If you have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, or another health condition, keep taking prescribed medications and follow the plan you have made with your clinician. Food is powerful, but it is part of a larger treatment and prevention strategy. And the fifth mistake is ignoring personal tolerance. Some people may experience digestive discomfort with larger amounts of oil. Others may need to account for calories more carefully. If you have a medically necessary diet or a history of gallbladder or digestive problems, ask your healthcare professional how to include it safely. So, what is the simplest takeaway? Use extra virgin olive oil every day, but use it intelligently. Use it instead of butter when possible. Use it in dressings. Use it on vegetables and beans. Choose a fresh product in a dark bottle or tin. Store it away from light and heat. And combine it with foods that support your health from multiple directions. Because aging is not one single process. It is a collection of changes happening throughout the body. Your blood vessels, immune system, metabolism, gut, muscles, and brain are all connected. A food that supports several of those systems at once deserves a place in your routine. And extra virgin olive oil may be one of the easiest ways to begin. You do not need to wait for a new year. You do not need to wait for a diagnosis. You do not need to wait until you are older. Health span is built before you think you need it. Every meal is an opportunity to send your body a signal of inflammation or balance, a signal of excess or nourishment, a signal that supports decline, or a signal that supports resilience. Extra virgin olive oil is not a guarantee of a longer life, but it is a practical, flavorful, evidence-informed choice that can help move your overall eating pattern in a healthier direction. And sometimes the most powerful changes are not dramatic. They are the small choices you repeat until they become automatic. A drizzle over your vegetables, a spoonful in your salad dressing, a little in the pan instead of butter. A simple habit, repeated consistently, that helps your meals work harder for your future health. That is the real goal, not simply to add more birthdays to your calendar, but to arrive at those birthdays with stronger muscles, healthier blood vessels, a clearer mind, and more years that actually feel like living. I'm Dr. Sophie Hale, and if you want practical, science-informed ways to support healthy aging, make sure you subscribe. Because the foods you eat every day are not just filling your stomach, they are influencing the environment inside your body, and the right choices, repeated over time, may help you age not only longer, but better.